Have you ever been in a situation where you heard something that was said that you knew just wasn't right, that bothered your conscience, and you wanted to say something, but you didn't know what to say? Um, if you have, then I've been right there with you. We're going to talk about speaking up today, a little initiative we have here at Lexington Catholic to be a slur-free, bias-free school. You know, when I was a child, I heard lots of slurs: chink, jap, gook, um, little undignifying comments about eyes and hair and getting back on the boat, and um, attacks on my family. And as a child, I didn't know how to deal with it. It may have been in part because oftentimes I was the only Asian kid in my classes. But whatever the case, I always wished that there was someone who would have spoken up for me. And being ridiculed sometimes 10 times a day, sometimes every hour in every class, I can't think of a single time where a fellow student or even a teacher ever spoke up in my defense when I was being unfairly attacked. So, this is kind of a dream for me at Lexington Catholic that we would have the courage to interrupt when we hear something derogatory towards women or towards someone of a certain ethnic group, that we would just make eye contact and maybe in a non-confrontational, non-judgmental way interrupt by just saying, "Hey," or "Hold on a second," or "Could I talk to you in private for a second?" Um, and then just to ask, "Why did you say that?" Oftentimes, people are totally ignorant that their words are hurtful. Um, Other times, people sort of know, or um, but to give them a chance to explain, oftentimes is a good point of communication. And then to educate if a person is clueless that their words are hurtful, or if they don't know the origins of the phrases or the implications of what is being said. And my hope is that we can get to a point where we hear other people doing this interrupting, questioning, and educating when they hear something wrong, and that we can echo. I have, over the past year, heard students um, stand up for other people. And when I hear that, to be able to say that I really respect and appreciate that they had the courage to speak up, I think that's a big part of it. If we want to create a culture where we are dignifying each other rather than stealing or taking away each other's dignity, which is a game sometimes. I really hope that we can be a different kind of school where dignity and love and honesty rule, where we can have brave conversations and not just gloss over some of these difficult issues so that we can really learn. This pyramid of hate, which is put out by Teaching of Tolerance, really shows the connection between prejudiced attitudes and acts of prejudice and discrimination, violence, and then awful things like genocide or suicide. Lots of times when people say things, they say, "Well, I was just kidding," or "I was just joking," and they don't realize that prejudiced attitudes, that's accepting stereotypes, not challenging belittling jokes, scapegoating, assigning blame to people because of their group identity, that's connected to acts of prejudice. Acts of prejudice are more likely to spring up when there are prejudiced attitudes. And that leads to name calling, ridicule, social avoidance, social exclusion, telling belittling jokes. Um, I just recently spoke to a gay alum who really lamented the fact he was a really athletic student, but the kids in his class would never pick him to be on their team because they knew that he was gay. They knew that he was different. I would hope that we would become a space, and I know that we can, where we could be brave and include people who might be different than ourselves. Um, and acts of prejudice can lead to discrimination and even worse things. This pyramid of love I just kind of made up myself. At the bottom is the base is tolerance, not accepting stereotypes, a willingness to be open to differences. Um, and then the yellow area is embracing diversity. And it's a fundamental respect and appreciation for individuals and groups that are different. And then empathy, the practice of trying to see another's perspective and acting positively with the thought and feelings of others in mind. And then finally, at the top is the example of Christ's self-sacrifice. So we're going to watch a video here in a second, and I'd like you all to talk about some of what is presented today.
I didn't know what to say. During group work, I overheard a boy say to a girl, "Stop PMSing and just take your notes, okay?" And I didn't know what to say.
I didn't know what to say. A parent was upset because my classroom is inclusive. He said, "Why does my son have to do group work with a retarded boy? Why aren't they in their own classroom?" I didn't know what to say.
I didn't know what to say. There's a young boy in my class who loves getting attention and laughs by other classmates. About a girl with hearing aids. "Can you hear me now?" he says. I didn't know what to say.
I didn't know what to say. I overheard another teacher commenting to a student, "Those earrings look a little ghetto." I didn't know what to say.
I didn't know what to say. Last week at a staff meeting, the principal told us some students from nearby trailer park would be attending a different school next year. Some teachers cheered. I didn't know what to say.
I didn't know what to say. During a service project planting trees at a local park, I heard a group of students laughing, and one of them said, "Why are we doing this? Isn't this what the Mexicans are for?" I didn't know what to say.
I didn't know what to say. A lesbian student came to me upset. A classmate had told her that homosexuality was a sin and that she was going to go to hell unless she chooses a different lifestyle. I didn't know what to say.
We often don't know what to say, but when we listen to our conscience and hear something that we disagree with and have the courage to interrupt and ask and explain or educate or echo, we are a part of a work of dignity for all people and in embracing diversity. Thank you for listening. I hope you can take a moment to discuss what you might say in response to some of these comments, and maybe also discuss some of the things you hear in the hallways that you don't think are right that should be addressed. Just like good athletes and musicians, we don't settle for poor form here at Lexington Catholic, and neither should we socially. I hope you have a great day.